Hi guys, today we're going to talk about why Marvel wants us to hate John Walker, and we'll get to that right after this. The beginning of a new year is when many people start thinking about their goals, and I'm no exception. The Goal Process 101 ebook has helped me clarify the best and most achievable goals for me, plus helped me set a plan in place to accomplish them. I mean, this podcast is just one of the results of using the Goal Process 101 ebook. Check it out at christiannerdsunite.com/goals. It helped me. I'm sure it can help you too. Now, back to the show. I think today's show is going to be a little bit shorter than usual. It's actually pretty late on a Monday night, and tomorrow my wife has some significant tests that we have to do. We're hoping to get a heart transplant in the near future for her, and we're going to be doing a whole bunch of labs and a CT tomorrow. So we're hopeful that we can get some good paperwork together so we can send to a couple of different places that will be considering her for a transplant. But I do want to do a show for you guys. I didn't want to leave you hanging. Let's start with a couple of scriptures. Now, first, 2 Corinthians 12:9. But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. And Ephesians 4:31 and 32. Get rid of all bitterness, rage, and anger, brawling and slander, along with every form of malice. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as Christ forgave you. Now, I just want to take just a few minutes. I want to talk about something that I've seen in a lot of the Facebook groups I've been in lately, and a lot of people are talking about it on YouTube, and that is that everyone hates John Walker. And if you're not up to date with what I'm talking about, we are talking about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the show on Disney Plus from Marvel. And I just want to talk a little bit about this character and why Marvel wants us to hate John Walker. So, quick backstory, make sure you're up to date. There may be some mild spoilers for some of the episodes that have already been released of Falcon and Winter Soldier. There may be some mild spoilers for what I think will happen with John Walker. But I'm not going to go all whole hog on the Falcon and Winter Soldier show. I'm only going to focus on John Walker. So in the comics, John Walker does take the place of Captain America for some time. He is a lot more abrupt. He is a lot more rude, and he definitely is a different character. Now, also in the comic books later on, after he sets down the mantle of Captain America, he does become his own superhero of sorts, and he does become a character named U.S. Agent. And John Walker all along works for the government. He is not an independent agent. Captain America, along with the original Captain America, starts out as a super soldier for the government. But as time goes on, he does tend to become more of a free agent and less of an agent of the government. John Walker is always an agent of the government, and at times he has been assigned by the government to lead groups of Avengers, namely the West Coast Avengers at one point, and And I think I may have even mentioned that briefly in a previous episode that we did on WandaVision. So go check out those episodes if you want to hear that little bit of information. But John Walker is a different kind of character. And in the comics, he, like I said, he is abrupt. He is kind of rude. He is a bit of a jerk. But he is a good soldier, and he does his job as he is told to do his job, even if doing his job isn't necessarily the thing that is best overall or the nicest thing to do. And that's what you have to understand about John Walker. Now, in the comic books, he also has some other distractions. He has lost family members, and he has some deep depression because of this, and that's part of his backstory that he doesn't let anyone else into. Because of that, that causes some conflicts, and it causes him to be who he really is. I tell a lot of people, John Walker is Captain America as if Captain America was every drill sergeant you've ever seen in a movie. That's who John Walker is. Now, bring us up to today, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And who is John Walker? John Walker is, once again, the chosen replacement for Captain America. He is not a super soldier, so he doesn't have Captain America's strength. He is trained to use the shield very well. He is a very proficient soldier and very decorated, so he is looked up to. And as far as the military goes, he is a great choice for the replacement of Captain America. Now, he is definitely no Steve Rogers, and even in the show, he all but says, "I'm no Steve Rogers." Now, he does claim to have some feelings that he knows Steve, like he knew him in spirit, but definitely he did not know him in person. So that's kind of disingenuous. So we've got some weird things going on there. We also have some other things that happen along the way with John Walker, and he discusses things with his partner, Hoskins, who in the comics is called Battlestar, and in the show he does get the code name Battlestar, but in the comics they both become super soldiers eventually, and it doesn't look like that is happening in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I won't go into too much more of that. You can check out the show for that part. But as far as John Walker's attitude, he is by the book, by the numbers, kind of. He is by the book, meaning someone sent him on a mission and he is going to complete it no matter what it takes. Even if that is, trailing in the footsteps of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier to figure out what's going on. So we definitely know he is no Steve Rogers. He even knows he's no Steve Rogers, but he still wants to live up to that expectation. Now, his vision is different. When we say live up to that expectation, we as comic book fans of Captain America probably think living up to that expectation of the truth and justice and the rightness and making the best decisions, because Steve Rogers has gone against the law multiple times because he's doing what he believes is right. Now, John Walker, we have a different take. John Walker will go with the government and do what the government has told him to do, even if what the government is asking him to do may not necessarily be the right thing. He talks about, in one episode, he talks about the medals that he was awarded. And he says, you know what? The things we did there, they weren't necessarily good, even though he was awarded medals for them. And I think that's a great place for him to start from. But we definitely see him turn dark in the show. And I'm hoping, this is my little bit of, I hope they go this route. I hope they play up that idea that he realizes what he is doing is not good, that what he is doing is not right, and that he gets a redemption arc, and we see him become either a hero of his own right, call him U.S. Agent, call him Nomad, which is a name that Captain America went by at one point. But call him something, make him a superhero in his own right, or at least an anti-hero in his own right, aka something like the Punisher, that kind of character who he does things for good, but he definitely does not do them in a good way. So either one of those as a story arc, I think would be great, but I do want to see him have some sort of redemption arc where he comes to the realization of what he is doing is not the right thing. Now, I say, why does Marvel want us to hate John Walker? Well, Marvel has, over time, throughout a lot of the movies, tried to create bad guys that have sympathy. And, they tried to create a sympathetic Thanos, that he was doing horrific things for the good of the universe, that these are spoilers if you haven't watched all of the, Avengers movies, but, we're spoiling movies that are multiple years old. So move on. But, he kills his own daughter for the sake of saving the universe from themselves. So they're trying to create some sympathy. And I think that's what they're trying to do with the character of Zemo in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. They're trying to create some sympathy for us as an audience. Now, so what they want us to do is they want us to hate John Walker and have sympathy for Baron Zemo. Now, spoiler for the show, I think. My guess is Baron Zemo will come out as the big bad for the show. In the end, we will find out that he had arranged a lot of things that we didn't know up front, and that John Walker will become kind of a scapegoat, kind of a discredited hero, and like I said, I hope he has a story arc that gives him some redemption, some grace, like I talked about in those verses that we just read. God has given us grace. We should give others grace. I hope Marvel is going to give John Walker some grace. So Marvel has tried to create sympathetic villains in the past, but they don't want John Walker to be that sympathetic villain here. They want us to not like him. But they also are still giving him some interesting reasons for the things he is doing, even though they may not seem all that great. He is not able to hold the mantle of Captain America properly. He feels like he is not living up to the name of Captain America. And this is a big spoiler. He does take a super soldier serum and becomes a true super soldier. So that's something he feels is necessary to be able to live up to the mantle that Steve Rogers held. Now, we're presuming that his partner actually died in a scene this past week. And then we see John Walker basically take revenge and use the shield to kill someone. And that puts him in a very, very dark light. Even the bad guys stand in awe, in stunned amazement of what he just did to one of their own. So they don't want us to have sympathy. They want us to hate him, but they are giving him reasons to do the things he's doing. So I do like that they're giving him real reasons to do the things he's doing, even if they are bad, which I think gives us a good opportunity to have that grace and that redemption arc later on. I think they are setting him up for something else. I think all of these things are setting him up to be, hunted down, maybe even by the government. Maybe the government even has to send Sam and Bucky to go get him, because of the things he has done to rescue the shield, to rescue the picture of who Captain America is supposed to be. And I hope that's a direction they go. I don't know if they're going to, but it would be interesting if that's what happens here and that's how they end up with the shield. It's also very possible they set him up to have a moment of clarity where he simply sets the shield down, knowing he no longer deserves it. And I think either one of those will be a great storyline. We only have 2 more episodes, so I'm not sure how much they're going to get of that story, but I hope they're going to go there. Now, once again, I go back to the why does Marvel want us to hate John Walker? Well, Marvel in the cinematic universe has really set up Steve Rogers as kind of the Boy Scout of the Avengers. There's a whole string of running gags about language and about not cussing. And there's a line that kind of presumes that Steve Rogers is a Christian, where he sees Thor jump out of an airplane and the lady says, "Are you going after them? I wouldn't do that. They're pretty much gods." And he says something to the fact of, "I don't think God dresses like that." And he promptly jumps out of the airplane. So, so they've built this character, this person that, he has a code of ethics. He tries not to kill people. He has this Boy Scout code. Now, if we go back to the comic books, that hasn't always been the case. And in fact, early on, he killed multiple people, either directly or through actions he caused. In fact, right at the beginning, when Steve Rogers becomes the super soldier, a person runs in and shoots the scientist that created the serum, meaning there will be no more super soldiers. And he then promptly takes that person and throws them across the room, beats them up, and throws them into some cables, and the person dies because of the electrical power running through these cables. So, did Captain America kill them, or did he caused their death? So that's something to deal with. Now, you say, okay, so that's not exactly the same. So fast forward, Captain America 254, there is a character called Baron Blood, basically a vampire in Europe. And he is told by Union Jack that really the only way to defeat Baron Blood is going to be to kill him, because if we don't kill him, he will simply keep coming back after my family. And Steve Rogers promptly decapitates Baron Blood using the shield. Now, that's pretty dark. So I just want you to be aware, Captain America in the comics has not always been the Boy Scout that we picture him as today, when we think about Steve Rogers from the MCU. So this is the direction that Marvel has chosen to go. They want us to have sympathy for the big bad guys. They want us to have major problems with the heroes. And they've done that all along. Multiple times they've put Iron Man in a bad light. They've put Thor in a bad light. They've done these different things to put the heroes in a bad light and let them be heroic in the end. So my hope is that they are putting John Walker in such a bad light that in the end, he can be truly heroic. So I hope that you will give John Walker just a little bit of grace. And I hope you will keep watching this show and see what's going to happen. I'm super excited about it. I really have enjoyed everything that Marvel has been doing lately. And I think this is something that we need to consider ourselves. There are a lot of things in this world that we see that we think, I hate that. I hate that person. I hate the things that they've done. And it puts a bad taste in our mouth. We have to be able to extend grace. We have to be able to say, Sin was brought into the world, and these evil things have happened. But we don't have to let our lives be consumed by the evil of this world. And I hope that's something that you can accept as well and offer grace to those around you. So that's just where my brain has been the last few days, and I just wanted to share it with you. I know this was a shorter show than usual, but I think it was kind of fun talking about why Marvel wants us to hate John Walker, and I hope maybe you'll give him just a little grace and not hate on him quite as much as you did before you listened to this episode. Well, that's all I have for us today. Don't forget, you can find all of our social links and online store and links to the YouTube channel as well at ChristianNerdsUnite.com. While you're there, check on the support tab and check out our Patreon. Before we go, I do have a blessing for you. It's 2 Corinthians 8:7. But since you excel in everything, in faith, in speech, in knowledge, in complete earnestness, and in the love we have kindled in you, see that you also excel in this grace of giving. We'll see you next week.